PlayStation, unfortunately. Like that, otherwise I probably would have said it all. I just gotta move it out and just plug in the HDMI cables. All I have got 9.
You can do either one.
You have a 20 on your Xbox? Oh, I download it. I have NBA 2. See how long it takes while we talk.
Or do you have any sports games on?
Oh, actually on my PlayStation?
Yeah.
I have MLB.
Yeah.
I could do that.
You need me to get my controller?
No. I got both mine. Mine are both hooked up.
That?
Yeah.
We're playing a game and entertaining the crowd. Come on, Herbie, think about the fans. Oh.
No, I was in charge. All right. Green lighted. I need to. I wish I could like rotate this thing. In a way. Sorry.
Right now, or
Yep, we are live, brother.
lack of preparation right there.
Well, it's all right. It's all right.
Dum dums.
That's fine. Nobody comes like right away anyway. Most of the time. That's why I was saying you should get your friends. I told people on my Discord though, hey, we're gonna be doing it here in a bit, and then I just set it out on Twitter. So
Yeah, we haven't even get. Oh.
Yep, it'll take a while. People will slowly show up. All right, what's up? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Rhino Bucket, aka my roommate Ryan. And we are talking about week 1 of college football.
New segment we call Herbie and the Buckets. Right.
Herbie in the Bucket.
Patent it.
Only after 1 week. 1 week we get
making a big
we should have had a gimme, but nope.
You heard Mike and Mike in the morning, you got Herbie and the Buckets. New ESPN broadcast.
Don't bring back Mike and Mike. I miss those guys so much.
We're gonna bring it back. We want to talk about football, we talk football. We want to talk baseball, we talk baseball. We want to talk basketball, not much to talk about. We're just
Anyway, we are gonna review week 1 of college football here. I unfortunately was so busy this weekend. I have no idea what really happened, except for that my own team lost. So hopefully, Ryan here can. Hopefully he knows what's up. Besides him giving me shit last few days.
You tell everyone that he is a UW, University of Washington Huskies fan. Quick note on that. Shout out to one of the players on there, Sean Toomey Stout. He is a player that I used to coach. I have much love for him and the Dogs, but I am a Oregon Ducks fan. Quack quack, motherfucker. We'll get into more of that and everything like that. An eventful week 1 of college football. It's great to be back and everything like that. All and everything. We've seen some pretty interesting games, especially in some of the top 10 overall, and break it down for you guys as we go along. Start with Ohio State, ranked number 4 against Minnesota. To be fair, that's gonna happen. Ohio State's is a powerhouse. They've proven themselves from their times in the early 2000s. We got Maurice Croat at the running back position throughout all of that, and even beforehand when Urban Meyer took over. Minnesota gave them a fight, especially towards the end, but Ohio State really took it over. Quarterback looked pretty good at 13 for 22, 94 and 4 touchdowns. Looks like the running back for Minnesota had a pretty nice game himself. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State obviously makes the college football playoffs and potentially
two Big Ten teams there starting out the season. Ohio State coming out strong. Minnesota, we'll see what happens with them. So obviously, as you said, yeah, Ohio State had definitely a good game. Jay Stroud had a great game, 4 touchdowns. What a way to start off the season. Chris Blave, 4 catches, 100. I mean, just come out and make a statement. Talk about coming out and making a statement.
Playing for something. They have a lot to prove, and they I think they did. They were in the running, I know that, and they yeah, it's just they're out for the national championship to prove that any team but Alabama. Alabama is kind of the stepping stone. Well, be interesting to see. I know Ohio State has a good game next week, and I will fight my pride on a little bit because they're going to play my Ducks of Oregon, and it'd be hard for Oregon to come in. We'll talk about the Oregon game coming up. But Oregon and Ohio State should be a great game going forward. See what happens. Be a great game. I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon ends up lost, but with Oregon, they surprise a lot of people. We'll go into game 2 now. Coastal Carolina versus the Citadel. Pretty typical college ranked game versus a smaller school opponent, and just Coastal Carolina came out fired up and continued what they did last year. They had a really good year last year. A program that's kind of been on the up and up. They really surprised people last year. And coming out doing the same thing. So much respect to them. Great game on them, handling their business. He's kind of something you want to see when a ranked team plays a smaller school. Kind of that tune-up game, kind of that, get your blood flowing, get the hits going, and everything like that. So, Citadel, I mean, great effort, especially getting 14 ranked team.
As you can see, Coastal Carolina just first quarter only scored 1 touchdown, and then second quarter just put up 24 points right away.
I mean,
and then after that, it looks like every score was touchdown. No, I would say, there probably wasn't even field goal in that game by the judge of those.
No, there was score 24.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yep. I'm sorry.
They're football.
Again, guys, we apologize. I know this is not like the NFL one we did where we had it scripted, planned out, all ready to go. We are just winging this stuff tonight.
All good. Not much more we can talk about that. Obviously, Coach Carolina is going to be a team to watch out for. But being outside of a Power Five conference, they're kind of up. They could make a surprise and everything like that. It could be the next Boise State, Hawaii back in the 2000s, early to mid 2000s. But it's not been too kind with outside Power Five conferences team. So jumping into the next one, we have Utah versus Weber State. Utah um, is a pretty good powerhouse team out of the Pac-12. I think they've been running for the Pac-12 championship last few years, ever since really joining. I know a few years back they played UW for the Pac-12 championship. They're a year ago or so. They're a team that is hungry, especially in the Pac-12 and what has happened and what's seen. I think Utah making statements that they want to come out and Pac-12 potentially play in a Rose.
Don't mind me.
Weber State's obviously again another small school. Not so much props to them. But like I said, I've been impressed with watching Utah the last few years. They're a very, very talented football program. I think the coach there is a job, and like to see what happens come later in the season, especially towards championship time. I wouldn't be surprised if Utah is in that.
They can sneak in there. They are definitely that team that you don't see them coming.
You don't, and really with the Pac-12 being split between the North and the South usually ran by two teams, and that's USC and Utah. With you potentially get an Arizona State kind of too, but I think based off of what happened in the Pac-12 right now and going into the championship, you had to make a prediction. I think the Pac-12 champion is going to come out of the South, and we'll talk about that as we get to more of the North teams. But Pac-12 South definitely represented very well of the Pac-12 conference.
All right. I think also too, judging by the top performers of Utah too, it doesn't look like looks like they definitely had their starters in there for a while, and probably brought in their backups later. All right, next game. Southern Utah versus Arizona State.
The Pac-12 South team representing very well. Arizona State winning 41-14. I believe the coach is a really great coach. Had a great NFL coaching career.
I'll look that up real quick.
Including a Super Bowl standing in Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, I mean, again, it's what you expect out of a tune-up game. Power Five conference team ranked States, who's always been a kind of a sleeper team. They've had moments where they've really taken control of the Pac-12 and put their name up there for the champion. So I would love to see what they do and everything like that. Again, just Herb Edwards is, and I think he's doing really well with that program. And I would love to see them because they're just that school that you don't normally see, especially playing for a Pac-12 championship. They always start off really hot and then they'll tail off towards the end or anything. Start of a slow start and then catch fire towards the end. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think Utah, in my opinion, is probably up there with USC for the Pac-12 South, and would love to see Arizona State, see what they do, and they could potentially make some noise.
All right. Moving on then. North Carolina versus Virginia Tech. They won by a touchdown.
That's kind of a classic game right there. Classic rivalry. ACC team, North Carolina and Virginia Tech. Actually, kind of interesting that they started off with a rivalry game,
right?
kind of a conference game. Virginia Tech has been a really good program for quite some time. Growing up watching North Carolina, obviously to me, when I think of North Carolina, I think of a basketball school, but they've definitely, I'm saying, they are definitely a program that's kind of been on the rise. The staff, the coaching staff there has done a really good job about turning it around. They were big hyped when was on that team, and we'll see how North Carolina bounce back. The ACC, obviously, it is Clemson's conference to lose, but you never know. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is gone. How is Clemson going to do going forward?
Right.
But a great win
Right.
by Virginia Tech. Like I said, they're just a team that definitely has they have their moments, and we'll see what happens. They might be playing for the ACC championship.
All right. Okay, Ryan. Yeah, Ryan. Let's just actually play right here, and then I want you to tell us what you see in this and what happens. After this commercial break.
But I see someone that doesn't know how to fix a light and need some help. Also, whoever put the light in that was crooked, that has
By the
work
way,
on that.
By the way, we are not sponsored by Home Depot. Just throwing that out there. All right. Let's watch this here and see what happens.
Loading. Crap.
No kidding.
Him up.
Only a minute. It's only supposed to be a minute 19 here. Come on.
Well, I'm just gonna say the play was probably. Oh, there we go.
It was just waiting for me to start it.
North Carolina has the ball. Play action pass. Owen. Well,
just a bad decision by the quarterback.
Absolutely, there's no question about that. Looking at it though, it looks like they have 3 timeouts left, so 37 seconds. You're in a good spot. I mean, you have 3 timeouts, 2nd and 7. You're on, their side of the field. Trying to be a hero, but that is something that should have happened. That was just a really bad play to make. Obviously, not very happy, and we'll probably have a conversation with the quarterback. But great effort by the Virginia Tech cornerback on making that pick and solidifying everything like that. Flag is probably taunt or excessive celebration, but great breakdown by the defensive lineman just to not get tricked or anything like that. Most times, especially big hogs, they don't break down really well on tackling, so that's a great effort right there. And again, quarterback just gotta make better than that.
All right, I want to rewind this back. I want you to watch this number 12 who makes this tackle. I think he's right here, the middle. No, he's over here. They just let him go right by.
Yep.
Nobody picked him up. And then I think that's what led to. Yep. They just let him go. And
your standard line blitz and everything like that, where he had we talk about shooting your hands and everything like that, getting leverage, which I can't really say it's leverage because it was more of a stand up, but he attacked first and got control of the offensive lineman, as you see, and ultimately was able to break free and make that pass rush. So well coached, well talented defense.
Yep,
Pass blocking is
69.
a very hard, can be very hard to do because you're essentially moving backwards more times than not. And honestly, defensive linemen are trained to be animals. And myself as a defensive lineman, so I know like firsthand experience the differences of playing offensive and defensive line, and that's just a well coached. So
Seemed to be very disciplined on that play.
yep,
Came up big to secure the win for their team.
yep.
All right, moving on. This is a heartbreaker for me, but I'm
gonna start by saying this.
I will take you any. Just be honest, and if, I will take it because unfortunately I didn't get to watch it. So
I'm not gonna give Washington too much hate because a couple things. One, again, I have a player on there there's a player on there that I coach and got nothing love for him. But I think some things have to be said. Montana deserves a lot of credit. They are a FCS team, which is still Division One, but it's a little bit smaller division. Everything like that in East Washington. Montana has always been a really good program, and they're a very tough program. So more power to them coming into a environment like Washington, which again I will say about Washington, really beautiful state. Times really beautiful. The defense for Washington was ranked very high, which looking at the game, the defense was doing their best, holding Montana to just 13 points. The problem obviously came from the offense. And I heard a lot from people around who are big UW fans about the quarterback play of Washington. And it's rough. Going in, their offense was going to be the big question mark. I didn't really watch it, and I can't really say. I'm going based off what I've heard, and to be honest, not a great start for Washington. More power to Montana, like I said, coming in and playing the heart out and everything like that. Washington is a pretty big powerhouse football program. Had their hit, they have other misses, obviously, but as of lately, what Chris Peterson did, much respect to Chris Peterson, he turned that program around to the best, and Coach Lake did a really good job. I think last year too. I think they went 4-1 until the unfortunate cancellation of COVID happened. And they can look up from this. I think next week's not going to be a good week for them. They're going into Michigan and everything like that. But Washington can surprise people. Take a few setbacks and then bounce back. I think they can potentially go 0-2 going into the season, but I think they can turn around come start of the Pac-12 play. I think their biggest threat of the Pac-12 North is going to be Oregon. You never know. I also love the Cougs, but again, going back to this game, they have to be more aggressive with play calling. They have to definitely look at it. But that being said, I've heard some people talk about maybe a quarterback change from Dylan Morris to, I believe it's Sam Heward, Mark Heward's son. Not the best week to go going into Michigan. Not the best. Going as a true freshman coming out of high school, going into a big time program, big time game against Michigan at Michigan. Not the greatest.
So obviously, Washington being really known for its DBs and defense lately. Obviously, like you said, only held them to 13 points, so they did their job in a way. They held only 3 points the first 3 quarters, and then obviously we had the fourth quarter where Montana scored 10. And then you look at the passing, Dylan Moore, 3 interceptions. You don't see that very often from UW quarterbacks that much anymore. But obviously, from what I can tell from the thing that's missing here for the top performers, the rush, is it's not a UW player, and UW has been always known for that ground game. So it sounds like the ground game had trouble getting going as well, along with the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, from what I've heard, the offensive play calling was more conservative. It's a pretty basic. nothing too extreme, which sometimes can be the case when you have a very young offense, and not in the sense of young as in age, but young as in experience. Um, which they just got to be more explosive. They gotta just try to go for more. They have Kate Otten, who is probably looked at as a NFL prospect, and rightfully so. Like Kelly said, they've always been a really good run program with recent years of Miles Gaskin, um, and so on and so far. There's so many running backs I probably don't remember, um, as well as great receivers like John Ross and Hunter Bryant at tight end and Dante Pettis. Just a parade of great talent, but it's all about recruiting and everything like that. And Washington has the capabilities to come back and bounce back. Probably the bad part about the game was the defense obviously being on the field as more time. They really needed to be, hence why the game was so tight up until the fourth. Is potentially you could have your defensive players on there for that. Get tiresome. It really does get tiresome when you're one side of the ball. So think back to, if you're talking professional football, the early days of Russell Wilson, or kind of not the early days, but after the Super Bowl run, there were times where the defense was on there way more. Offense was 3-and-outs or turnovers, and the defense was having to, be out there for a long time. Example would be the NFC Championship. Turnovers, unfortunately, was killing Seattle, and the defense was holding their own against a really high-powered offense. So I see the similarities with Washington and Montana. Probably not as high-powered as the Green Bay Packers, but again, I think more props should be going to Montana for coming into a big-time environment as Washington coming out with them.
Especially knocking out, the ranked 20th team.
Yeah, potentially you could see Washington get knocked out of the top 20.
Yeah, you could see us get knocked out. I would not be surprised if we did, and I think we definitely do deserve to get knocked out after that. Anyway, let's move on. Alabama versus Miami. Well, I don't think there's much to say than it's Alabama.
It's Alabama.
Bryce Young looks like he was off to a really good game.
From my understanding, Bryce Young is probably one of the front runners for the Heisman Trophy. Alabama, as much as people can hate Alabama, really got to give Nick Saban this. He knows how to run a program, how to recruit. He knows how to run a program. However the athletes do in the pros, that is up to them. But in Alabama, this is, again, just like you could say about any other thing. You talk about NBA. When you think of who's going to be the NBA champion, your first thought is always whatever on LA Lakers. Or you go into, pro football, and you could say it's a Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. It's Alabama's to lose in college football. It's literally Alabama's to lose. And they've had opportunities where they've lost. I think I can remember them not making the national championship, like twice. In recent years, they have lost in the national championship, and again, like that credits to the athletes buying into the Nick Saban program. Just Miami is not a team to sleep, not a team to just.
I was just going to get to that. Yeah, Miami is not. Don't underestimate Miami. They will probably most likely bounce back from this.
I think so too. I think they will probably have a chance to still take over the ACC. But the game coming up, we'll talk about, and we'll see. We'll have our. So Alabama, roll Tide.
Yeah, I'm not even going to bother playing the video there, just watching them. It pretty much says they're there. Bryce Young lights it up with 4 touchdowns in Bama's big win. I mean, from the score, it's self-explanatory. The kid just went off. The kid had a great game. So he'll probably be another first-round draft pick, some to the NFL team. a couple of years.
Yep.
All right, moving on. We got, is this Tulane?
Tulane versus Oklahoma.
That was a close game.
Well, I'm going to start off by saying this. Shout out to old coworker Larry, who is a big time Oklahoma fan. He played college basketball for the University of Oklahoma a long time ago. I have respect for Oklahoma program. I think Spencer Rattler showed me anything last year. He hasn't shown me much this year. I think he's got a lot to prove. He's got a big hype about him, especially coming to Oklahoma, who in recent years had two Heisman winning quarterbacks and should have been three. I think Jalen Hurts got screwed out of a Heisman. But that being said, Oklahoma is in line to probably run the Big 12. Big 12 is not very strong as of recently. Texas always has their name, but Oklahoma's had their numbers for a long time, and potentially you're looking at another top 4 team to make the college football playoffs. I don't have a lot of confidence that they could make it because they're going to face one of two teams, and it's going to be Ohio State or Alabama, and I don't think long enough. Tulane, much respect to the Tulane school and football program for making a really good game on a number 2 ranked team.
As you can tell in the last third and fourth quarter of the game, they actually tried to come back. Oklahoma started off real strong, and then Tulane tried to actually come back in that game, and they almost did.
I mean, even looking at the first quarter, it was tied 14-14. The biggest quarter, obviously, big change was the second quarter. Being outscored was at 20 or 23-3, and so one quarter really hurt, everything like that. But for them to come back, fired up, and I think this could carry Tulane to maybe a conference championship for them. I think not to put your heads down on a loss, but to hold your heads up high on taking the number 2 team to the very end.
Oh man, you know what? And I'm just gonna say this right now. We'll get to you in a sec here, Hawaii. I'm gonna say this right now. Why does it always feel like there's somebody that comes along that's named Mario Williams in football?
Common name.
I mean, I just want to throw that out there. I know it's really random, but I swear there's always a Mario Williams. I got super cut so I can't watch the stream with all the buffering. I want to hop in and use the Prime sub at least. All right, man. Yeah, you got that shitty internet connection out there. It's all good. Huh?
In Hawaii?
Hawaii. Yeah. He's not Hawaiian. That's just his name. But he likes Hawaii football.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
That's why his name is Hawaii. FTBLO, so he shortened it.
I can't read.
But anyway, thank you, for popping in. Now I see, you hopping on playing Splitgate. I see how it is. All right, let's move on. Georgia and Clemson. I'm actually surprised how low scoring this was, but these are definitely two, maybe right behind Alabama as probably the 2 best other teams out there. I think Georgia has the potential of being. They're always like right there in that top 5. They're like always like so close. Every time.
It's hard to base this game off of the hype. Because yes, Georgia is a very good program, especially in recent years. A few years back from actually being in the national championship, potentially winning the national championship. They were very close against Alabama.
When was that they won? Georgia won. Was that Watson? Oh, who was that quarterback when they won? So
that one was both Jalen Hurts and Tua. That was actually the first game we really saw Tua in the big time lights. So they started with Jalen Hurts, and then they brought Tua in later, and Tua helped them win the national championship. Alabama won that. Okay. it doesn't surprise me Clemson taking the first loss post Trevor Lawrence era. But that's not something to go off of. I think Clemson's still a great team. You lost 10-3, but honestly, they can bounce back. I mean, you played the number 10 team and lost by one score, which means you still have a lot of great players and the program's still really good that you could honestly bounce back from this. And I still think they're going to be the team to beat in the ACC. And Georgia, keep rolling with this. You have all the potential to maybe play Alabama for the SEC or to beat them, but never know.
I'm just actually trying to look up the last time Georgia was in the championship. It wasn't that long ago, and that's what I'm trying to find real quick. Oh, that actually says, can Georgia football end 40 years of frustrating with a national title? 40 years since they won one. Oh, Georgia Bulldogs versus the LSU Tigers. Over, yeah, Joe Burrow's final year. Oh no way! I'm looking at it says SEC championship game.
SEC.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that can't be right either. Oh well, look up late. let's see. Let's watch this clip here. Georgia's defense tallies 7 sacks against Clemson. I guess this will give us a why what actually really happened. We'll probably have an ad again. Yep. And actually, I forgot you guys can't actually hear what's going on, so I'm not worried about it. So I don't have to worry about copyright, infringement, and stuff. Obviously, we're not sponsored by Allstate.
Not sponsored by anybody.
No, we're not. I actually thought about trying to apply. Oops. Hold on, let me rewind that. Let's see what's Georgia's defense says came up big here. So outside or defensive end there, you just got around number 4, pushes the left tackle back and able to get right to the quarterback. Left tackle. Oh, that's time from the right side. Yeah, they're just overwhelmed. Like they're missing their blocking assignments.
Echo.
17. Damn. Free shot, pretty much. Yep. Came from the linebacker spot and just came right and took it. Mm. What are you seeing so far?
I'm not watching anything different.
Looks like the tackles that are having issues.
Well, again, it goes back to talents. I don't think Clemson's offense is bad. I think it's a different mentality game when you're talking between offensive. Defensive players have an edge on them. They have a little bit more fire and everything like that, and just you see a lot more defense players, especially on D line, who do what we do a lot of hand fighting, and so they're doing what they can to get release, and so a lot of times they're just super aggressive. Being an offensive player, you have so limited of where you can actually put your hands on a defensive player to block, and so a lot of times and they lose fights because of just how determined a defensive player can be. And much credit to the Georgia defense on being fired up, and obviously controlling the line of scrimmage, keeping the quarterback in the pocket, and just forming him and punishing him, and everything like that. Quarterback's going to bounce back, I think. Able to. Bulldog fan.
No, we don't know what to.
So, that's all I gotta say about the Georgia Clemson game. I think great game. I think it's already starting off great for two ranked teams.
Definitely, Clemson will probably bounce back too after that. Obviously, the departure of Trevor Lawrence, you can see that affecting the team.
So much pride, so much of the program was relied on. Love to see what he does in the NFL and see what Clemson does to bounce back from it.
All right, we got Kent State versus Texas A&M, and the Aggies.
Self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory.
Texas A&M is a program. Definitely a team that has made some noise in the SEC since joining. From back in the days of Johnny Manziel to as of recent. We'll see where they bounce back from this. They handled their business. Much more you can say on that. They handled their business, took care of it.
I think, like I said, same thing like with the Alabama game that we said earlier, self-explanatory. Don't expect to not see, maybe Texas A&M actually get into that playoff picture.
We'll see. We'll see.
In that championship.
What, rank 6?
They rank 6, so they'll possibly move up after Clemson, just took a hit there. So.
I don't see Clemson dropping far out of the top 5. Dude, Alabama can lose a game and only lose one spot and still be ranked number 2. You never know with Clemson.
True. That's true. All right, we'll go ahead and move on. Northern Iowa and Iowa State.
Great game. Great game. 16-10. Northern Iowa really came out and had a great first half. It looks like they blinked on the second half. I know Iowa State, who has been kind of on the up and up, being unfortunate being in the Big 12 with Oklahoma and Texas, kind of does derail them from actually winning. But you never know. Was it next year or so when Oklahoma and Texas be for the SEC?
That's true. Very close game. Obviously, not a whole lot of scoring. Doesn't look like either offense did much on the air, in the air, or on the ground. So yeah, we'll see what Iowa State does here later on. All right, moving on to Miami,
Ohio.
Ohio. I did not know that we had a Miami, Ohio. But
fun fact: current NFL quarterback that is from that school.
Really?
Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay.
Might not know because you hate Big Ben, so.
Well, I didn't want to say that on here.
Kelly does not like the pick.
Not since that loss, Super Bowl. That's one thing I still am frustrated about it, but I am over it, but still, anytime it's like.
Are you over it though? Are you over it? You're not.
Nope.
No, you're not.
Nope. Okay. Anyway, Miami, Ohio versus Cincinnati.
Typical what you see out of a top 10 team, handling their business and taking it to a school that could potentially make noise in their own conference, but Cincinnati they're kind of a sleeper. They're kind of a team to watch out for. I'm not really sure
I was going to say
how they've done the last few years, but to come in ranked number 8, boys on that.
I was going to say Cincinnati, as far as I know, has never really been a top 25 team, but I think
over the last... top 25. I've seen them in the top 25. They've just not been, obviously, a national championship contender. I don't think they've that I can remember and if you know, please let me know. But I don't think they've played in a New Year's bowl game. I think they've played in big time bowl games, but none of the major bowl games like the Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, all that stuff.
Okay. Obviously, you should probably keep an eye on Desmond Riddler here. Threw 4 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. He had a big game, so maybe that's somebody we should definitely pay attention to.
Yeah.
Not, I don't know if he's what college year he's in right now, but he keeps that up. He might be a possible future quarterback in the NFL. All right, next on we got Fresno State versus Oregon. I'm not gonna say a word, but
Some stuff could be said. Oregon came off really hot with two defensive turnovers, leading to scores and everything like that. And then, as you can see, the Bulldogs of Fresno State were making a comeback and made it a really close game up until the fourth quarter. That being said, I think you have to look into much respect to Fresno State taking it to potentially the Pac-12 champion, the reigning Pac-12 champion, Oregon. Which I know a lot of people can make an argument that they didn't deserve to be in the Pac-12 championship game because it was technically UW. Through that, COVID was really bad, screwed up the whole year. Enough said. But Oregon, being a Ducks fan, watching them over the last since early 2000s. Here's the thing about Oregon, especially right now. Great team. CJ Verdell is a very talented running back. They have amazing defense and everything and all that. They always have hard times with quarterbacks, especially after having a prolific quarterback. Are we gonna watch the clip?
Go ahead and keep talking. I was actually gonna get this.
I think to look at it, essentially, they've had quite a number of pro quarterbacks, and they've had a hard time bouncing back from them. That being said, you think about after Marcus Mariota had his time in Oregon, they had a hard time bouncing back, and now being the second year outside of the Justin Herbert era, we'll see what happens. Oregon's always has a very explosive offense, very fast, cool, and 10,000 jersey combinations. Which I will say this. There was a really funny comment that I saw from Nick Saban in regards of Oregon has at least 100 different jersey combinations. And what's really funny, and again, being an Oregon fan and listening to Nick Saban, I'm not a big Alabama fan, but this cracked me up. Nick Saban said, we have two. We have red for home, white for jersey. All we care about is who puts them on. In regards of Oregon's 10,000, combination and different uniforms. So that being said, I guess there takes into consideration that the mentality level of a program like Alabama. They don't need anything fancy. They just go out and play football. Now, going back to Oregon and in this game, love to see Oregon play a little bit better. Obviously, this next week's going to be very hard for them with going to Ohio State. And you only beat a team like Fresno State by one score. So they really got to buckle down.
Fake.
They really got to buckle down, be more disciplined.
Nice fake.
Exactly. Stuff like that could really hurt them. And, love to, and obviously see right there, Fresno State actually is up.
But he fumbled the ball. Oh, all you had to do is just get down gently.
Yeah. I mean.
Oh, no. Oh, man, I thought he was going to pitch it out. No. Nice run by the quarterback.
Very nice run. I hope there was a big problem I had with watching Oregon last year, and that was the amount of times they were switching up quarterbacks, which does not work for programs to build and everything like that. You need a solidified quarterback to go with. So I hope they bounce back. I do feel like Oregon's going to take a loss in this next week, but I think they're going to probably take the Pac-12 North. play for the Pac-12 championship. Go Ducks!
All right. We're about halfway through. Do you want to take a break or do you want to keep going?
Take a break.
All right, guys. We will be right back for a little bit. We're gonna use the bathroom, get some drinks, freshen up. We'll be right back.
It's intense.
Yeah, I know. All right, we are back.
I had to make sure I dig this up for this. The 2016 National Championship jersey, Marcus Mariota. First college football playoff championship. Getting their asses whooped by the Ohio State. Fuck off, Buckeyes.
Buckeyes.
Buckeyes. Yep.
Oh, man.
So, jumping back into it, we're going to go back to another top 25 matchup with Penn State and Wisconsin. Very, very good game. Another Big Ten rivalry game right there.
Yeah, first two quarters, nothing from each team, and then the second half, each team got a touchdown, and then after that fourth quarter, it was do or die, and Penn State pulled it out.
Penn State, I think, is a very sleeper team to potentially win the Big Ten and compete with Ohio State. Hence, you'll never hear me say the Ohio State. Screw that. Great game by Wisconsin, way to fight and everything like that. But ultimately, Penn State did come out with a big victory. Much respect to the programs and great fights. Would love to see the Big Ten. In my opinion, is a very tough conference. I think it's actually probably the toughest one in college football. To think about all the teams that have put themselves in playoff contention as well as bowl games. If you think about all the conferences and the Power Five conferences, and you think about the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, SEC, and Pac 12, most of them have, you think about Pac 12, you have USC, Utah, and Oregon, sometimes Washington, depending if they want to beat Montana's or not. It appear that we just see a touchdown. But I think going back, I think Big Ten is a very, very tough conference. Very, I think one of my favorites to watch. Just because every team just has from both Michigan schools, Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State. Obviously, Michigan and Ohio State, a big time rivalry to watch.
Right there, your running back saving your linemen's there after
defensive that's kind of his job right there. But see that my question is the defensive coordinator and defensive DB coach. Man,
somebody missed
your zone. You left that wide open. Could have went to that snack bar right there and got yourself a hot dog, some nachos, and
from the slot, just comes
cup
over.
Of coffee right there.
Jeez.
You had playing time.
Wow. All right. Hopefully, Penn State can keep rolling after that.
I expect to see Penn State continue to roll, and I do see Wisconsin bouncing back. Probably suffer. If not, at least one more to Ohio State. But, Wisconsin is a fight and very tough program.
All right. Moving on, we got Florida Atlantic versus Florida. I'm actually glad I do not have my Florida Gator fan here with me tonight because they are like you with your Ducks. Rub it in.
I mean, when you win, you win, and you lose, you lose. I mean,
it's another. There are another people that I have that they both went to. They actually went to Florida themselves, graduated. So yeah, I give them shit. Oh, like way before us. Carly Postaway and her husband. That's how they met there.
Well, so, Florida isn't obviously as good as they used to be with the Tim Tebow time. Florida is that team that does really well, so they do well against the non-conference teams and all that. But I would like to see Florida be more consistent SEC play and see if they can make a run. They've always had some good luck, and unfortunately, again, Alabama and LSU. Great win by Florida. Handle the business.
Right. Okay. Moving on. San Jose State versus USC. I think that's another self-explanatory one.
It is, and again, we talked about this. USC is one of the top two teams in Pac-12 South, and one of the top Pac-12 in right now. I've actually read a lot of things where USC is one of the favorites to actually Pac-12, which always been a great program, always been a very tough football program. They've definitely, obviously, you're not only counting the years of the Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart years, but every year they really just they know how to run a good football program. So again, story of the stream right now is handle their business.
Take care of y'all's chicken.
Yes, take care of your That's just you.
It's because I go to click on where this is, but then it pulls it drops it down and puts that right there.
Blame the system. And
All
not
right.
the guy running the mouse.
All right, we're gonna pull that card. Oh wow, there's a face mask on the defender. Full face mask right there. Woo!
Actually, yeah, that play shouldn't have counted. Actually, if you think about that play right there,
Right?
that is hands to face. That is a face mask.
Oh yeah, head turns and everything.
Yeah. So, oh well, refs are human, so they can't call everything. I think big, nice play by the quarterback on the good, keeping good poise in the pocket and making that throw. And I'm imagining that's probably either a tight end or a slot receiver. And way to concentrate. Yeah, that's a tight end.
That's why I want to go back further. So we have
Great concentration on him and great athletic play to make a catch while sliding and avoiding a big hit. So great job to USC on that. Nothing more to say on that.
that face mask though. I mean, you probably have had that happen to you where somebody grabs your face and it just turns and jerks your neck. That's gotta feel good.
It's a wonderful feeling. I wish I had it done to me every day. That is a big time joke.
Wouldn't have to go see the chiropractor.
That shit hurts a lot.
If I want my neck popped, I'll just put on my helmet and.
That being said, I'm not perfect. I've had my fair share of face, even unfortunately in practice. It kind of happens every now and then, but it's not a good feeling to do it to someone or to have it done.
All right, I actually just realized here I messed something up here, guys.
What?
We were supposed to be on this screen. I accidentally picked the wrong screen.
Oh.
So I'm sorry. I have my button on my stream deck set to one. I forgot to add this news scene for when we're doing our podcasting onto my stream deck. So it's like, just hit that button. I'm always used to hitting when we come back from going AFK. So anyway, I fixed it. Anyway, LSU versus UCLA. I think, would you consider that an upset?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Here's the reason why. Not because it's a non-ranked team beating. Represent proud. Not because it's a ranked team beating an unranked team beating a ranked team, but in the sense of how LSU and all the SEC has been highly recognized as a powerhouse. They can't be touched. The gods of football and all that stuff. UCLA being relatively the third or fourth best team in the Pac-12 South.
Chip
Kelly and all that. This does show some light in the Pac-12 in that they're here to play. They're here to make some noise. It was funny as I watched a TikTok of a fan, kind of heckling Coach Ogden of the LSU Tigers, and he made a comment saying, "Bring your ass to the field with your pansy baby blue shirt," and they did it. LSU. I've never been a big fan of LSU program. I think that they are good. Not to take it away from that, but I think overhyped. Going back to especially the national championship year with Joe Burrow, it's just they had a great team for 1 year. They haven't been consistent. And again, LSU, you came into the Rose Bowl and you didn't quite perform. Shout out to Pac-12. Shout out to I have my favorite teams and all that stuff. I definitely root for, like I said, Oregon and Washington State, but ultimately I do love watching all Pac-12s and especially represent very well. And honestly, just great play.
Number two,
control. Getting the balance. And scoring.
They came
out ready to play. They came out ready to play, and maybe should we say watch out Pac-12 for UCLA?
I would say so. Definitely. That's a good pass. Just number two, just great footwork along that sideline.
Mm-hmm.
That just made that play because LSU didn't. They just didn't wrap them up right.
Yeah.
They just didn't wrap them up. Okay, we're getting down to the last three. Indiana versus Iowa. Well,
self-explanatory.
It is a self-explanatory looking game, but man, you would think number 17 Indiana would have had something more, but
Iowa's a program that again is a sleeper. They've had some really good hype about, I've seen them in the top 5, not the worst. I will say a really fun fact about Iowa. I love this program for this, is that they're right next to a hospital, and the crowd waves to the hospital as, I think it's a children's hospital.
Yeah, it is.
And
yes.
As before the game, they all turn and wave to the children in the hospital. So very wonderful thing to do. Showing more that it's more than just a game and everything like that. Showing that there's a lot of heart into the program and giving respect back to the fans, especially the young ones. Unfortunately, are in hospital. Yeah, you would think a better game off a ranked game, but again, Iowa in a very, very strong program.
Tyler Goodson clears an Indiana defender with a hurdle.
You don't ever see?
As you can see right there, Indiana 3 interceptions from Michael Penn. Let's see this hurdle. Whoop! And then gets lit up in the air.
Kind of a thing to happen. You hurdle someone and you think are all hyped up, and then you will end up paying the cost.
Yeah.
Whether it's that same play or the next play.
Somebody's going to be right there, especially that close to the goal line.
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, that close
to
the line
no
of
one
scrimmage.
likes to be embarrassed like that and, getting hurdled. Honestly, a horrible feeling to ever get.
You got the hurdle, you got an extra few yards, but you took the big hit.
And something to watch out for, too, is, maybe he gets clocked. Maybe it doesn't actually quite get the hurdle. Say number 3 right there actually stays on his feet and flips him. That could be a really bad injury. So great for highlight reels and everything like that, but and he fought for he got a couple more yards, but ultimately you gotta be very careful, because that's also a prime way to lose a football too, because you're not really having control. But can't take away from a good play. That is a great play. Great job to him. Never going to take that away from him.
God, every time I see Iowa, it's like, am I watching the Pittsburgh Steelers or am I watching it?
Very close. Very close.
And jerseys as well.
Too. Like, obviously the colors are like that, but obviously being black helmets, black jerseys.
Yeah.
By the way, Kelly loves the
Pittsburgh. I can't wait for our next NFL.
He loves Pittsburgh.
All right. Final 2, we're getting down to Louisiana versus Texas.
Come horns, baby. Great win by Texas. Program has definitely been different ever since Colt McCoy. One of my favorite quarterbacks watching. Back then, another ranked matchup, only 2 spots kind of in between. Texas, though, overall has been a powerhouse, not in recent years, but overall in the history. Wonderful program, very tough program, very, very tough. They came out and handled the business. Love to see just how they continue on with going into the Big 12, Big 12 season. And biggest question for Texas: Can they beat Oklahoma? Can they dethrone them? Obviously, Oklahoma is the team to beat. And again, great win by Texas, but just keep the momentum going. Louisiana, way to fight. I say.
Raging Cajuns. Okay.
I'm going to say this about all sports programs. If you have a different mascot name than your generic ones. And to me, generic ones are like the Wolves. That being said, my high school. But you know what I mean, like Wildcats and Bulldogs and stuff like that. You can make your team name something more unique. I love it. I have much more respect to that. Longhorns. You never hear anything about Longhorns. Raging Cajuns. I love that. I love that. Homage to all that. Like I said, I'm more of a fan of the unique mascot name. I am biased. I do love the Wolves. Go Cookville Wolves. But even our out high school that we went to before I moved was the Mount Baker Mountaineers. That's pretty catchy. You don't ever really see a whole lot of teams with the Mountaineers. So, I like I said, I want to just more respect.
Yeah, I mean, because, you have the Mountaineers, you don't hear that. You don't hear Pioneers. Obviously, you got Trojans.
Lions.
You got Link. I don't love it.
No, really. Lynx is a pretty unique one, too. Because it falls into the sense of Wildcats, because most people, instead of actually, coming out with a different cat, they just go with generic ones.
Right.
Like Lions and Tigers. Sometimes you get Panthers. That's kind of a hit and miss one. Lynx is something actually pretty unique, and I think that's definitely one to kind of show respect to, because it's a cat that you don't hear a lot of. I think the only other, honestly, because the only other Lynx team I ever heard of is the Minnesota Lynx, the WNBA team.
That's what I was getting at. I was like, yeah, well, there's that.
Yeah.
Obviously we got the Squalicum Storm, but that's kind of just like, wow.
It's kind of unique. It's kind of unique, Most teams want a mascot that actually has like an embodiment figure. I guess, if you know what I mean. They want something that can be broadcast as as the mascot, like a figure.
All right, let's get to our last one. Notre Dame versus Florida State. Looks like this was actually a really great game.
Great game. Really cool thing about the game was I saw a clip of a quarterback for Florida State who hadn't played football in 3 years, potentially could have lost his leg. Came out, his first pass was. Well, sports stories are something that really anyone
Agreed.
sports,
Agreed.
especially. So something like that is a very remarkable thing to hear. Great game from a non-ranked team to a top 10 ranked team. Florida State being a program that has always had some hype and some good fight in them. Notre Dame being a very historically great program. They've always had such a it's a very decorated legacy.
I see that.
Great game. That was a fun game to watch. That was a really fun game to watch. Really, that's what college football I love. That's what football in general I love. It's just teams going at it till the very end, close game, and just a lot of pride. One coverage right there.
Right, that's by the tight end. Found that open field. To the house.
Yep.
Great protection. Looks like by the
Great
line
ball.
there.
Great ball.
Notre Dame's one of those teams that's been around for a long time.
Historic, it's a very historic program.
Nice move. Nice.
Very nice. Kept his balance. Read his block and just exploded. I think that's a very wonderful run by Corbin. There, holy crap, that was dedication to those guys who just glittered the hell out of themselves.
Colored and glittered. Nice thrown ball.
Good placement.
Oh, and just
good
outruns.
placement, and outbeat the coverage, everything like that. This is a great thing. You see some of this in the NFL, but one thing I will say I love about college football is a lot of these players may never play football again, and I know nowadays they changed the rules about
Nice
actually.
Ooh, well,
They
watch out
changed
for
the
the
rules
bricks.
about college players actually getting paid now, sponsor and all that stuff. Whole dilemma. But there's a lot more fight. There's a lot more fights in this. They're not, nowadays. Yeah, you see a lot more transfers, but a lot of these guys get with tools and play with pride. Great play,
Great comeback, quarterback. Yeah, didn't see anything of it. It was able to shed the block and or the tackle, excuse me, and get back out and find the guy and make a play.
Wildcat formation. A nice read. Way to follow your blocks.
Florida State eventually is going to be one of those teams. They are going to be a top ranked team, like top 10.
I mean, yeah, it was 6 years ago that they actually won a national championship with Gene. I do like watching Florida State. I do love the fight. And Notre Dame is never a program to sleep on. No, I think they're still independent technically, so they always have a fight to put their own name in college football playoffs without being in a conference. So I think we can still see Notre Dame still climb up, maybe sneak in for a college football playoffs. And they were in it last year, had a great season, and maybe they can bounce back and do it again.
I just like just watching that is just
wonderful highlights. Wonderful highlights. Like I said, this was an amazing game.
I would love to watch this game.
Two programs just going at it, fighting hard, and everything like that.
And then there's these guys.
Dedication at the highest for fans.
Look at that quarterback right there. He had a guy almost right in his face, stuck with it, got the ball to his wide receiver, perfect throw.
Don't you?
Great protection here by Notre Dame. And this makes a great throw. Nice battle by the wide receiver and cornerback, too. Seattle. Don't worry, we've actually made fun of that before in the past. Maybe the Huskies should come over and block for Russell Wilson.
You're much better.
I'm talking about a couple of years ago. Anyway, guys.
In line, I think this game already was probably the game of the week, and potentially could be running for game of the year.
Obviously, Jack Conan, 4 touchdowns, 366 yards. I'll have to keep an eye out on him. Great game. Michael Mayer there, had another great game right there as well for Notre Dame. Wide receiver. No, actually, he's the tight end, isn't he? Tight end, I think we saw.
Yeah, that's the tight end.
Keep an eye on him, too. Tight ends are becoming really big threats now. They really are.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you would like to add?
What is Pac-12? Pac-12.
UCLA beat Hawaii. Weird.
A lot of
Colorado. Northern Colorado.
A very Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
Colorado's kind of been a team that kind of been sipped on a lot for the Pac-12. They've done really good stuff lately. Um,
I remember they used to have a really good linebacker core.
like I said, they've been in and out of the Pac-12 championship and all that. So it looks like looking at um, kind of the teams you thought were going to win won, and majority of the teams that probably going to lose lost. To be real, the Ute starting with going up a little bit. Thinking about the teams that we didn't talk about. I think one thing we'll do with this is because being Pac-12, definitely talk about Pac-12 more. Obviously, UW taking the unfortunate Kelly, fortunate for me, lost to Montana. But then you go down further and you look at games like Oregon State and Purdue. Great matchup. Very close game. Oregon State, I think, still is up. Still has some work to be done, and they can make a name. I think last year they showed similar. They lost unfortunately a couple games. Came back and actually made a very good statement, including the for my friend Peyton Poe, big Oregon State fan, and the Civil War game last year. If you have not watched it, is really fun. Recommend for anyone who wants to watch good college football. Watch the Civil War. We call it the Civil War. It's never. They unfortunately took it away. Oregon State and Oregon game. It's no history. It's like watch that game last year. It was very very good. Oregon State with a big comeback to Nevada and California, very close. California has been kind of a so-so program. They've had some really good games, but then ultimately have not. Kind of being in the Pac-12 North times when Stanford, Oregon, Washington control of them. California is fortunate. BYU, Arizona. BYU is a really good program. I think program. Arizona is again just a team that's had high moments, but is mid card. And unfortunately for Washington State, they were winning majority of the game, and unfortunately lost to Utah State. Great comeback by Utah State to beat Washington State. I think Washington State has a lot more to work on. I know they've been in the battle, the quarterback battle, and unfortunately, kind of in those back battles going into. Um, I do love the Cougs. They're team I grew up watching, and I've always enjoyed the style of Washington State being more of that farm farm town team and everything like that. And shout out to one of my favorite Washington State quarterbacks of all time. Fortunately, he only played 1 year. Felt like if he would have stayed more, he would have done more. Gardner Minshew, baby, love that man. Greatest mustache in the NFL. Man that can rock a mullet too. I'm very happy with the Pac-12 in a game that we missed. Stanford and Kansas. Kind of been path since Christian McCaffrey, Bryce Love, Kevin Hogan. So we could potentially see some. I'm very happy with what happened in the Pac-12. Obviously, there were a bunch of losses, as well as some wins. But looking at the losses, almost every game was a very close. Stanford Kansas State game was the biggest loss. So really good hype about the Pac-12. I think again when we do college football, this is a conference we talk about more.
Definitely.
Because a lot of knowledge in Pac-12 outside of. Great year for Pac-12 football. I think is going to case, I think they're going. I think it's going to be a tight race overall. Predictions for the Pac-12, I think, and I'm going to put money on USC versus probably Oregon for the Pac-12 championship, and I would love to see Oregon reach. Ellie, do you have a prediction?
I
UW, I will.
I would probably say same as you. I was actually really thinking Stanford might actually turn around this year, but I see that happening. I think USC will probably definitely take that. And Oregon, I don't know. I'll have to wait to see. I'm like I said, I'm kind of leaning the same with you, but I have a feeling somebody else. It won't be Oregon. I think somebody else is actually going to sneak past Oregon. I'm not sure who yet. I'll have to watch some more and see.
The season is young. The season is very young. I think in the sense of as much as I would love Oregon to win the Pac-12, I think you base it off of this. USC is. If you think about, I think a big chance, and I even said this to a fellow UW fan. Whoever has the better game against their next opponent between UW, Oregon, I think UW is playing Michigan, and I think, and things can obviously.
All right. Okay. All right, everybody. That is it for all we have. We'll figure out if we want to do week by week. We'll probably definitely do a mid-season. I would say, see what everybody's at mid-season wise. And then we'll also see after this regular season over and we get into the bowl games. We'll do something there as well. So hopefully you guys all enjoy this. Again, we are not sponsored by anything that you've seen here. We're obviously using the ESPN site for all the scores and stats. And we're just doing this for fun. We've been talking about doing like this since we moved in and finally making it happen. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Yeah, hopefully we can do this again real soon. You down for playing something still, sir?
Yeah, I'm down to play.
All right,
the name of the show is Herbie and the Buckets. Trademark it. If you guys are interested in us and talking about anything, no.
Thank you for actually remember saying that.
We can make things more about than just it's obviously video game knowledge. My forte, but if you want us to talk about like upcoming movies, especially superhero movies, or even baseball, we have talked about upcoming baseball playoffs, which I'm gonna give a quick shout out. Both Kelly and I are diehard Mariners fans, and fun watching. Hopefully, they can make a playoff run and everything like that. Baseball playoffs are
we're hoping
coming very soon, and we're definitely seeing some really good things happen coming towards the playoffs, and I think it's going to be a great playoff year for baseball. Hopefully, the Mariners can come in, but
we might also do a baseball stream too here as well. We're gonna do the sports that we grew up playing as, we enjoyed as, we still enjoy. So obviously, yes, you got NFL, you got college football, you got baseball. We might do basketball. We will see. We haven't really talked about that yet.
I'm gonna cause a fire right now. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Screw LeBron James.
So
not to discredit LeBron James's athleticism and play. Damn it, it's Michael Jordan.
That being said, guys, if you do want us to talk about a sport, we will probably be more than happy to. Whether we have little knowledge about it, some knowledge, or a lot of knowledge, just throw it out there, and we'll do our best. We'll definitely, like I said, don't make it something like water polo or something like that.
Yeah, we'll talk to.
Anyway, guys,
I don't know the damn game itself, but
leave
damn it.
leave a comment about which sport you'd like us to more talk about, or just something else to talk about, like Ryan said, movies, TV. I mean, we're pretty much open book right now. So anyway, thank you guys all very much for showing up. We're actually going. I'm gonna end the stream right now, and we're going to switch over to a game to play for you guys for a while. So we will be right back as I get everything set up for that. See you guys in a bit. Thank you all very much for coming
Herbie
out.
and the Bucket signing out.
Oh, you did.
Put that shit away. Put that shit away.